Welcome to another episode of BasketBros, and I am your moderator. Are you? Oh,
Super
are
Willie.
you okay, Will? Oh, Can you hear me, Jacob?
Oh, I can, of course.
Oh, okay. Well, I think you might have to fix your sound, dude.
I can hear. Yep.
Well, I'm your moderator, Jay Nelson, aka Denzel Snipes, and I am here with Jacob Christner, the pundit's pundit. And as soon as he gets his sound back, we have Will. We do have a special, just kind of 1 minute thing that Will wants to bring attention to, and as soon as he comes right back, we will get to that.
Can I bring it up too? Let me bring it up.
Sure, go ahead.
Bring it up, and then I'll let Will do it. The whole thing is about Miles Bridges. Basically, I fell in. Now I'm Will. Hey, Will, can you hear us?
Yeah.
Perfect.
Okay,
I'm just going to bring up the thing about Miles real quick since you had that. I want to bring it up real quick. We've had too much trouble with this over the time. We had Ray in sports. We've had Ray Rice. We've had, there's many a story of this. And you know something? We're having these situations now where, this comes from the whole Harvey Weinstein deal, remember? This comes from this whole thing. It's supposed to be the Me Too and everything and all that kind of stuff. And yet, and Me Too kind of got, there's a word, bastardized a little bit, but still it did its job to get him and get a few others. Get a Bill Cosby and a few others. It did its job. But to this day, we're still getting this. We're still getting these stories. And it's like, at what point do we stop? At what point does abuse stop? What point does the ego stop? And when do they start? When does the NBA and all these leagues start taking full control of this? Go ahead, Will.
First off, I wanted to say real quick before saying that, Jay, I changed my name last minute to Willie. Speaking of Miles Bridges, the Hornets subreddit is taking donations to give domestic violence organizations. And also there's a guy out there who is matching every dollar that is donated. So yes. And our producer, Jennifer Matthews-Lewis, will put out a link if you want to help donate.
Awesome. Yes, that link will be going out. So if you can, please make your donations. This is a very deep issue that is going on in the world of sports. You've heard me yesterday on the Gauntlet speak my issues about it. And be sure and you check out that episode. That's up on YouTube right now and on Facebook Live. And, of course, you heard your sentiments from Jacob and from Will. And so, once again, that link will be out. And if you can, just feel free to donate. All right. And so we'll get on to the first topic here. And that is the 1990s Chicago Bulls. What made them so great?
The thumbs up makes it great.
Yeah. So we all know that this was, if you want to call it an entire dynasty or two sets of dynasties, that's fine. They did three-peat twice in a row. Of course, 90, 91 and 92 Bull, or rather 91
through 93, and then 96 and 8.
And then 96 through 98, of course. In my total opinion, and this goes kind of hand in hand with the topic that I think we covered on BasketBros some time ago as to who is responsible for the dynasty, Michael Jordan or Jerry Krause. And I lean more towards Jerry Krause, and here's the reason why. And you know what? That's going to be my answer tonight is Jerry Krause. And the reason being is because, yes, you had Michael Jordan, but Jordan was 1-9 before he started getting a team. Mm-hmm. No one wants to talk about that. So we're gonna put it out there. Let's put everything out there. Jordan was great. He was the best player on that team, but he was not winning until Phil Jackson was promoted from assistant coach to head coach. Yeah. Until Pippen came along and until Jerry Krause built him a team. No, they did not get along. But anytime Jordan needed a player, he got him. Jerry Krause built that team. So I'm gonna go on record as saying that Jerry Krause was why they were so great. Granted, Jordan was the rubber that met the road, but no team, no rings. Right. Go ahead, Jacob.
Well, I'll give you this. It's like there's also, I mean, we can say this about Jerry Krause, but there's more to this. It's like I watched these games. I used to watch a bunch of these games. You know what I'm saying? One of the issues, and that's understood, James, and I understand that. That's a good point. But one of the biggest things about it was there's a few things that you would see, the little noticeable stuff. Number one, like for instance, when Boston, I'll give you Boston and LA comparisons right now. When Boston was winning, it was getting to 4 straight finals, winning 2 rings, got 3 rings total. When they basically would just wait till you were worn out. It was just like they would let you even though there was decent free safety defense from Bird and a few others. They weren't one-on-one defenders. So you just got their shots. You get my point? They let you there until you wore out, and then they took you out. Los Angeles tried to run you to death, but they also had perimeter shooters. So if the perimeter shooters were off that night, you could have a close game. Mind you, and I'm saying they were hard. Both of them were hard at home. So it was the joy. But here was the thing about Chicago. They just tried beating you to death. You to, I mean, literally.
So did Detroit.
Yeah. And it's like, and it wasn't even just physically beat you to death. It's like, literally, it'd be second quarter and 43-29. I mean, you're right. You are right. I mean, 10-3 immediately. It's like they weren't trying to just, okay, we're going to just settle down. We're going to wait. They literally just went to beat you to death immediately. That's the first thing I always noticed. Second thing, everybody was on the bench. Remember, this is at the time that this is the pre-COVID eras, obviously. The benches, the chairs were like this. They were like this. So everything's real close. You are basically having an affair with these players.
Yeah.
You're having an affair with these players at this point. You are getting closer than your wife. But here was the thing, though. Until the game was over, when you used to see players doing like this or whatever, until the game was over, even if it was up 20 or whatever, they're up on the edge of their seat, all of them.
Yeah.
Watching. And they're just their faces like that, and they're just there. They're waiting to get into the game. You could not get away with like playing with your phone or there wasn't at that time, but you get my point. You couldn't get away with not paying attention. You couldn't get anything. You had to be every minute focused. And that's what made. I mean, we could talk about Jerry Krause, but the focus on that team was unreal. Just that they were they did not want to give you the fourth quarter.
No, they really didn't.
Yep.
They really didn't. And I get I get his point. When Jordan retired, was Chicago winning? No, they weren't. But we can say the same conversely.
Yeah.
Before outside of Charles Oakley, who else did they have? Before he started getting the team.
1 year of George Gervin, and that was Jordan's fault and
that was it.
And I'm saying 1 year in his final year, and that was Jordan's fault because really that could have been a bridge. He had 16 points a game in 25 minutes with no knees left. Yeah. And that's like that could have been the bridge to Scotty. That could have been a bridge to Scotty. He could have gotten you could have gotten a higher seed, stay away from Boston until late. And you could have you could have done something like that, but Jordan didn't want the other guy around. That's ego.
Yep.
That's ego. And it's like, come on, Gervin at his end still hitting 16 points in 25 minutes. That's a shooter. And it's like you could have had that bridge to Scotty before that, because Scotty would have still come. You could have hit a 1-round win or something like that but Jordan just couldn't do it.
Yeah. But I mean, he held his own until Pippen got there, I mean, to have your knee shot and still put up 16 points a game, man, even by 80 standards, that's unreal.
I mean, 25 minutes.
In 25 minutes, you know what I mean? Yeah. We talk about how Bird's back was shot 4 years before he even retired.
And even in his final year, he was 20-10. That's with no back left, and he was in traction. He was in 2010. That's ungodly.
Yeah, and he was in mutant mode. But Will, my man, what do you think made the '90s Bulls so great?
You guys had great valid points, and I agree with both the points you guys said. Definitely great points. You had MJ, the best player in the world. You got Pippen, who could do it on both sides of the court. You got him on offense, who can shoot the three, shoot the mid-range, drive the lane. You got him on defense. And then you got Rodman, who was the dirty work guy, who did the rebounding and the defense. And then you got good role players. You got Kukoc, Paxson, Kerr, and Harper. Also, you got Phil Jackson, the Zen master with the triangle offense.
Yeah.
So, and the crazy thing is, and Jacob appointed it before, he was an assistant before, and then he became the Zen master. So all of those factors definitely made the 90s Bulls very great. And The Last Dance is a testament to that.
Well, here's the thing also. Here's the thing, Will. Another big deal to this is the fact that we call him Zen Master, but he wasn't Zen at all until he won a couple titles. He was as ridiculously intense as you could get. He just relaxed because he got two titles and the greatest team in the world.
He wasn't. No, I don't know why they called him that because
because he made a Zen. He was studying Zen. Don't get that wrong, but he wasn't a Zen master.
Oh no, he was strict. He was strict.
No, yeah, there's no question. It's like until he got that, But you want to know another thing that made him? Everybody on that team outside of the center would get a good 3 to 4 assists a game.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody would get that. It's like 3 to 4 assists a game. It's like you'd see 7 assists for Jordan. You'd see 7 for Pippen. You'd see 4 for BJ. You'd see like 3 or 4 from Horace. Everybody moved the ball.
Yes,
it was a fluid offensive team.
That was that, and that's something of note because you look at the current Golden State. Everyone knows the facilitator is Draymond Green.
Yep.
And people want to compare this, era Golden State to the 90s Bulls. That's one thing the Bulls did not have was a set facilitator because of the ball movement. You look at the 2000 Spurs. They didn't have a set facilitator like that. They moved the ball.
Well, and
you could say Parker, but
yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No. Go ahead.
No, the other thing. You also get off the bench. You have Will Perdue. You have Stacey King.
Mm-hmm.
You have. Those are guys that are 17, 18 minutes a game, and then they could run a floor. So then you could have Will giving it off to Stacey King for a dunk.
Yep.
You could, and it's like, well, here's the thing. Unless you got, and this is the thing about it. Now, until you got to the 11th or 12th man, which those were the in the end. And they even had Rodney McRae one year. You're a Houston guy, so I'm going to say this. They had Rodney McRae. He was in his end. He was terrible. But but that's the thing about the Bulls. When he got terrible and he couldn't hit a thing anymore, he was 3.5 points. He had 64 games with 3.5 points a game, 18 minutes. So he was terrible at the end. But they had him for special defense. They had him for passing.
That team had a lot of depth.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and it's like once they found that was the thing. A lot of teams would have just said, "Oh, you just got to keep shooting, Rodney." Blah blah blah. And if you have 3.5 points a game at 64 games, 18 minutes, you're not there anymore. But but they knew that when you have a Jordan, when you have all these basketball minds, you have a Tex Winter, you have everybody. When you have all that, you have this thought process that's like, we're going to find something for you to do. We're gonna find something. Huh?
No, I wanted to acknowledge Kerry was in the crowd. Kerry Hot James. Yeah. Sorry.
No problem. It's like you want to realize that it's like that's what the great teams do. They found something. They didn't cut him or get rid of him. Right. They didn't do that, which you could have easily done. Most
teams would cut him. I agree.
Yeah. And here's what's funny. They pick up an Ed Neely, who's in there with the late 80s. They picked him up for his final year. They picked up a couple 3 players for their final years, got to pick up a ring. You know what I'm saying? That was their final chance, So
exactly.
And it's like, and these are guys with like 8, 10, 12 minutes, and it's like, and they all had a role.
Yep, I agree.
They did, absolutely. And I agree with Mike, in the special, is that they deserved a chance to defend what they still had. And in the first year they lose, if you want to break them up, great. However, Phil was done. Phil specifically said, even if we go 82-0 and win the title, I'm not coming back. So,
exactly.
Phil
was mentally worn.
Mm-hmm. He was.
Coaching will do that. Coaching will mentally wear you out.
Definitely does.
It will.
Definitely does.
But he also had his differences with Krause as well, and
yes,
it's just crazy because like this whole entire time, because for the longest time before I saw The Last Dance, I had always kind of put the blame on Jerry Krause. But after watching The Last Dance, I was like, hardly, if any, did I not one time see the owner come down and be a buffer. You know what I mean? So at one point in time, when do you give responsibility to the owner? Dude, you could have buffered this whole situation.
Oh, yeah.
You own the squad.
And that's the truth on that. It's like by bringing up Phil for a second, people have to realize. Look at Jay Wright from Villanova. He just retired. He just retired. Look at his record. Like, let's see, 2 straight national titles, got to 3, and then he got like 5 Final Fours or something. Some ridiculous number. Just like he had like a 64% winning percentage, and he's gone. He just said, "I'm done." And it's like that. It will just if you don't have everything completely perfect. Not even the Bulls had completely perfect. Not even them, because they had to deal with Krause and they had to deal with all it. If you don't have everything completely perfect, where it's relaxed, the job will absolutely wear you out.
Exactly.
And Phil Jackson's 6'8". Remember this. And when you get older, that height and that size will wear on you.
Yeah, he was a big guy.
Yes, it will. Because I mean, like you figure age getting to him, he's about 6'6", even still.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and his knees look shot, and he does not walk right. He couldn't do an 82-game season anymore. It's like, but see, this is what I'm saying about Phil. They're talking about Phil possibly going back into the front offices, and this is what I say: give it one more chance if it's not the Knicks, because the Knicks will screw anything up. I'm gonna give him a mulligan on the Knicks because it's James Dolan. It's James Dolan.
That's true.
It is James Dolan.
That is true. I know I've seen Stephen A. Smith like, I want Phil Jackson off my team. What he really should have been saying was, I want Nolan to sell the team.
Dolan. No, I mean, Stephen A's to me he's 5'3". I mean, he's 5'8". But I'm like, he's like 5'3". It's like I don't care what Stephen A. has to say because he's this emotional nitwit fan. It's like you have to get for. I mean, I remember the emotional nitwit thing when he got mad at Julius Randle because it was Julius Randle instead of Kevin Durant. But then he completely forgot about it with the year they went to the playoffs, and he forgot completely about that. And now he's back to it again. And then see, it's one thing when you're a fan; it's another when you're making $12 million a year. It's like you can't be doing. I mean, you cannot be doing that with the fans or the people that are watching. You look like an idiot.
Yeah,
and that's. I'm sorry, Will. Go ahead.
No, you were talking. I was going to say, do you want to slide over to the next topic? But I'll let you finish your topic.
I'll say this. I'll say this real quick. What makes the Bulls so great by itself. It's like you got to remember the Celtics were 2-2 in their 4 straight. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. The Lakers got 2 in a row, couldn't get a third. It is tough to get 3. It is.
Oh, it's incredibly hard.
I mean, remember the Tampa Bay Lightning didn't get 3. It's a beast to get 3.
And in the storied history of the National Football League, there's never been a 3-peat champion.
And you realize through all that it's hard to get 3. There's a reason Michael Jordan retired twice, did it one more time. There's a reason. That wears on you too. He's still human. To be superhuman, he had to be human.
Yeah. I mean, it's one thing to get on top. It's another thing to stay on top. So if you really think about it, it's hard work to get on top. It's even harder work. You have to be a better team than the year that you won it last year to win again. You got to be an even better team to win it again. Like you look at Golden State. They won that first ring, right? Oh, not first ring. We're dynasty right now. They won that one championship, right? The next season, what was their record? 73-9. They had to be a better team than they was the previous year.
And then they lost anyway.
And still lost anyway. Yeah. But we're going to segue here into the next topic. And that is, who is your Team USA all-time starting 5? Now, I almost cheated the system because I was kind of overly excited making my picks. So I made a starting 5 and I made a bench, but I was like, wait a second. No, it's just starting 5. That's it. So I'm just going to do starting 5. And so, at the 1, of course, I got Magic Johnson, my favorite point guard of all time.
Okay.
At the 2, I've got Jordan, of course. Jacob's going to shoot me for this, but I've got LeBron at the 3.
I'm not going to shoot you. I don't have Bird on there. I don't have Bird in mine.
Oh, wow. Big shock of the evening.
I'm just going to say this real quick. I'll bring up my 5 there, but my 5 have 2 good gold medals.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go.
That's why. So I don't care, but my 5 have 2 gold medals.
At the 4, I got Barkley, and at the 5, I got Elijah Warren.
Okay. Jacob, do you want to go or do you want me to go?
You go right now.
So I'm going to tell you reasons why I picked these guys. At the 1, I love Magic Johnson. Don't get me wrong. Got Oscar Robertson. He won the 1960 gold medal.
Oh, nice.
And it was considered the best amateur team of all time.
That is true.
And that team won by their games by an average of 42.4 points.
Ooh.
Wow. Shooting guard, Michael Jordan, Dream Team. First team to have active professionals on their roster, averaged 14.9 points.
Mm-hmm.
At the small forward, Kevin Durant, 3-time gold medalist, 2012, 16, and 20. Highest scorer in Team USA basketball history. And by the way, before I continue, we are doing this in honor of July 4th. That's why we're doing the Team USA segment.
Yes, yes.
Power forward, we got Charles Barkley, 1992 Dream Team. And this shocked me, and I always forget this. He led that team in scoring with 18 points per game. And
he did.
And then at center, we got the Admiral, David Robinson, 2-time gold medalist and 4th all-time in points scored in Olympic history.
Love it. Absolutely love it. Yeah, you know what? That's a thing that people overlook and don't necessarily talk about because you got the Dream Team, you got Bird,
and then you got the Redeem Team, 2012.
Exactly. You know what I mean? Like,
what was the team with Kobe and Wade? Was that 06, 08?
12.
08.
And
no,
08.
That was 08.
Was it 08?
Was it 08?
Yeah, it was 2008.
Yeah,
it was 08. Yep. But you know what? Yeah, Barkley actually led that team in scoring. And Durant. Because see, here's my thing, and we're gonna hear Jacobs here in a minute. It was hard. It was hard picking the 3 spot. Because you got LeBron, you got Bird, you got Durant. I almost said Durant. I actually almost said Durant.
You could have gone with any of those guys, and you wouldn't be wrong.
Yeah, because you just said it. Durant's the all-time leading scorer in men's basketball history, right?
And and LeBron was amazing in the Olympics, and Bird was also amazing in the Olympics. So, like I said,
for when he played,
couldn't go wrong. Jacob, what's your list?
The 5 that won 2 gold medals. You had Patrick Ewing. You had Patrick Ewing. You had Chris Mullin. You had Michael Jordan. You had Kobe, and you have Jason Kidd.
Ooh,
those are 5. Those are 5 with 2 gold medals. And
I like it.
Yeah. You there, Jay?
I'm here. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, no. I thought you froze it for a second. But no, I'm doing those 5, and I'm not doing it because of any. See, I wasn't going to ever put Bird because Bird was there hurt, and he was hurt bad. What he did on the floor. Like his first game, he hit 7. His first game with the Americas, he hit 7 of 9 for 17 points with like 2 threes, and he had like 3 steals. And he looked awesome. And then his back was wrenched up, and he had to miss 3 of those games. Then he had to miss 3 games in the Olympics. So no, I mean, when he was in the game, he looked great. He would still do his stuff, but he didn't play enough to get that. But so as I said, my all-time teams are going to be the ones that won 2 gold medals.
I like
nice.
It. I like it.
Yeah. You said you got and now are those the only 5 in history to have won 2, or were there more?
No, they're just mine. They're just mine. They're the ones that did
David Robinson won 2. KD won 3.
Wait, how many times did David Robinson play in the Olympics? Because he did not win. He didn't win one in '88. There was
96 and 92.
Yeah, that's a good point. So we could say I could put David Robinson over Mullen, but either way, it doesn't matter. Those are. I mean, it does not matter. You can just interchange. You can intersect it, but still.
Exactly.
You can. And I mean, like, let's face it. In truth, the superiority of the United States men's basketball team. If you put in a second or a third team, they're still blowing everybody else out by 30 points.
Well, and you know something. You brought up Bird for a second there. I'm just proud that Bird got a gold to go out.
Oh, yeah.
For someone like me who got to watch him, he was struggling, but he still had these great games, the 49, 14, 12 against Portland. And then he had like 14 assists in his final game in Boston Garden in the playoffs. 14 assists. It's like someone like him who had that mindset, he'd still do it, and he knew he could do it, and he was gone. The fact that he could leave with a gold medal, I mean, he didn't leave with an NBA title, but he left with a gold medal. It's the next best thing.
It's fine.
And then he can go home. And it's like, what else can you do? You got 3 NBA championships, went to the finals 5 times, and you got the division titles all but 1 year. And
you know who else went out? You know who else went out at the exact same time? Magic.
Yeah.
He retired in '91. He came back for the Dream Team.
Yep.
I think when you started GoFundMe for Jacob to get a Bird starter jacket or Bird jersey,
Get the warm up so I can hit a 3-pointer with it.
I know, right?
Do this.
Yeah. Do you even have a Bird jersey?
Nope.
Oh, we need to get.
Oh yeah, that's right. You don't really do jerseys.
We need
You
to
should.
get him.
You should get a
Hey,
Bird jersey.
if I get it bought, see, I don't save my money to do that, but if I got it bought, I'd appreciate it. But I'm
We
like,
need to get him a Bird
jersey
starter
guy.
jacket, man.
Yeah, the old school starter jackets.
No, I'm gonna put it on video on one of my pundit points. I'm just gonna make sure I hit it.
Yeah,
Exactly right. Take
Yeah.
take 3,
The
take 4.
old,
Yeah, take 10, take 20.
the old McDonald's commercials with Bird and Jordan.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
We need to do that for a show one day. Talk about that. That was great. Okay.
In the future, that is probably going to be like Cade Cunningham versus Cade Cunningham.
I would love to see them bring that back.
Yeah, Cade
I
Cunningham.
would love to
versus
see them
Bronny.
bring that back.
Cade
Yeah.
Cunningham versus Bronny.
Yeah, or like maybe, or you could take, I don't know, like Luka versus, like Luka versus Kyrie or something like
Something
that.
like
You
that,
know
yeah.
what was another great commercial before we go to our next topic is the one where it's the different Michael Jordans.
Oh yeah, I know
Where
exactly
it's
what
like
you mean.
UNC
Yeah, they
Michael
facing the young
Jordan
Michael
against
Jordan,
like
facing the
rookie
young
Michael Jordan against like
Oh,
basketball
yeah.
Michael Jordan. The
Yep,
Gatorade commercial.
Yeah, that actually reminded me of so I have NBA Street Volume 2 on the old PlayStation 2, and there's 3 versions of Jordan on there. There's the Wizards Jordan, there's 96 Jordan, and there's 85 Jordan. 85 and 96 Jordan have similar attributes, but 96 Jordan's a slightly better shooter, and 85 Jordan is a slightly better dunker.
Well,
That's fun.
when I'm playing the video games with my nephew, he's like 14 years old, I'll play with my nephew, and he gets NBA 2K22. We'll get the street version.
Oh, nice.
I always like to mess around. I always like to mess around with it. He'll have like he'll have like the all-time greats. He'll put like Kobe. He'll put LeBron. He'll put all the all the greats.
Let me guess, you
whatever.
have Bird in like.
No. I do put Bird, but then I put 4 white guys from the 50s or the 60s. It's just like so they just move like
Uncle, who's this?
They all look like Ed Neely.
Oh, that's funny.
It's
And
perfect.
Bird's got like 65 points, and you're up 20.
Oh no, he's killing me, but I'm having fun with it. We're just all making fun of the big fat white guys.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh my god.
Well, we are at the midway point of the show. We're gonna have a special little message there for you guys at the bottom of the screen. So make sure and check that out. At your local, there it is. All right. Yep. Score Don't Score in the Google Play Store and the Apple App Store. It is gambling for dummies. Check it out. You get free coins, and you can actually bet on plays, not just the game, but plays itself. All right.
Yep.
So moving on to our third topic, and that is coaches that had to step in the shoes of legends. So,
wow.
Jacob, kick this one off.
I can tell you this: Mike Dunleavy took over. I don't even count Mike Dunleavy because he got to a final. I mean, I don't see. I'm not counting Mike Dunleavy did, and he got to a final. And he got to 2 Western Conference Finals with another team. So he was a good coach. You know what I mean? But I'm not using him. I'm using Randy for fund. Randy Fund. I'm using him because he is like. Okay, I'm going to give you this example. They're on. If you guys ever heard the Bruce Pritchard show for wrestling, his you've heard that. He talked about a time where Vince McMahon was going to do a Bobby Heenan Jr. with him playing Bobby Heenan Jr. Getting the same wardrobe, getting the same everything, which would have been absolutely awesome, to be honest. But he was going to dye his hair blonde and slick it back. It was going to be Bobby Heenan Jr. That's what.
Yeah.
It was going to be that. Well, Randy Fund was Pat Riley Jr. I mean, it literally slicked the hair back, the 80s wardrobe in the 90s. It was like the tie, the everything. He won. It's like he spent all that money just to make himself look like daddy, but it's not daddy. You know what I mean? He did it to look like daddy, and then he was the assistant coach for Pat Riley, yet he got none of the offense. He literally had a slow down, spread out offense instead of that Showtime. But it was like he wanted to. It's literally he wanted to start. It's like he wanted to start his own name, but he didn't want to be his daddy. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like he wanted to be his daddy, but he didn't. And it was like, and it was and it was terrible. And it was terrible to watch. And it's like, so I think of Randy Fund for one thing, big time.
Man, I'll go real fast and I'll let Will go. I'm going to say for my team, Jeff Van Gundy. He succeeded Rudy Tomjanovich. Now he was coached from '03 to '07. Mind you, at that time period, he had a young Yao Ming, and he also landed Tracy McGrady.
Yeah.
So he's had some pretty good squads. It's just at the time period, the Spurs were the better team, and then the Mavericks were kind of up and coming as well. Again, he produced a playoff team. It's just, man, with everybody, and then that West was loaded. We don't even need to talk about the 2000s West.
Oh,
I mean, like how loaded it was. We talk
so
about the
many great teams.
2000s West was redonkulous, but yeah, I would say Jeff Van Gundy, because when you're coming in, stepping in the shoes of a coach who won 2 championships in the 90s and whatnot, I mean, you got a pretty tall task. But credit to him, I always liked Van Gundy. I did.
Yeah,
I thought maybe
I like him.
I thought maybe we pulled the plug on him just a tad too soon. But yeah, that was my pick, is Jeff Van Gundy. Who you got, Will?
So I actually did a positive twist to it because I wanted to. The first one, we got Eric Spoelstra taking over the Heat from Pat Riley.
Nice.
This guy went from video coordinator all the way to head coach.
So did,
Well, hang
so
on
did
one
Tom
second.
Janovich. Tom Janovich was the video coordinator for Riley.
Well, hang on one second before you keep going, Will, because there's a bit of a difference in criteria. Jacob didn't pick Dunleavy because Dunleavy got to a finals. You're still picking Spoelstra even though he won the finals. So I got to hear this, man.
Yeah, so I got Spoelstra taking over for Riley, which is good. It was a good change.
True. Okay.
And then I got, and this is a shout out to Jacob, actually, Bill Russell taking over for Red Auerbach. And who took over after Russell?
Tommy Heinsohn, wasn't it?
Tommy Heinsohn, and they all had winning records.
And he had 2 rings. Tommy Heinsohn had 2.
And Bill Russell did too. So those are 2 positive ones for you guys.
Tommy Heinsohn. Here's the thing about Tom Heinsohn. Well, the first years, and I remember I was telling you during the COVID time, I was watching like Larry Bird, all the years from '79 to '92. A lot of the games, there's like 70% of the games online. So I was watching those, and you get a lot of local, regional Tommy Heinsohn with whoever the hell he was with that week. It could be Bob Cousy or whatever. First years that Tom Heinsohn, this is the first 5-6 years that Tom Heinsohn was doing announcing. He sounded like he was. This is a guy I wish I could have coached. Spud Webb was a big thing from Tom Heinsohn. He loved that little guy. He loved watching Spud Webb's speed because Tom Heinsohn was a big speed guy. He liked fast breaks. So it's like you listen to him in the first years, and you absolutely listen to a guy that thinks that he got out of coaching too early. This isn't a John Madden who just liked watching football. This was somebody who thought he got out too early and he had 2 rings. So it was like Bobby Heenan. At the end of the Bobby Heenan one, it was like Bobby Heenan as an announcer saying, "Well, I'm not a manager anymore, but I could be." So there's Tom Heinsohn. I'm not a coach anymore, but I like to think what I would have done with this guy.
Yeah, I mean, it's fair to say that he left, just like you said, he left a tad too early. He did win. What years did he win those rings? He won back to back, didn't he?
76. 74, 76.
Oh, okay. So he won 2 out of 3. Okay. And, I mean, with a guy like Heinsohn, did he go anywhere else before, or was he done?
Nope, he retired. That
was it. That was it. So, it's nuts. And I wonder if that was something that he thought about afterwards, in which I'm pretty sure he has, is like, wow, how many more could I have won if I stuck around like another 5 years or something,
Well, yeah, it's Boston was such a. Another thing also is Bill Russell tried with Sacramento and horrible. He was horrible in Sacramento. It's just I can't say it was all his fault. Sacramento was a ridiculous team, but it's like you cannot beat Boston's structure. It's like the Cardinals. It's like the St. Louis Cardinals. I mean, I just read something about them. I'm just saying this quick. Segue quick. St. Louis Cardinals, the last time they had 90 losses and dead last was 1990. The time before that, 1918. The last time they were in dead last from that end. 72 years between that, and then they haven't had that since. The Cardinals are that consistent.
Yes.
And it's like, and that's what Boston has been. It's like Boston was terrible when Bird left for a while, but their overall thing is like absurd. Their overall consistency year after year, decade after decade is just absurd. And they just have it's like right now Brad Stevens is building something that Danny Ainge built, and they just have something that they built. The year after year. It's like, so would Tom Heinz have done anything else with any other team is a question. Because Bill Russell did nothing with Sacramento.
Fair point.
Right. But also, one could say, and I mean, I'm gonna actually get to this next. Is damn man, it was. Now wait, hang on a second. It was the King? Was it the Sacramento Kings or the Kansas City Kings?
No, Sacramento.
Oh, so that just moved.
88.
Okay,
it was like 88,
that's right.
87, 88.
Okay, so yeah, but you know what? The crazy part about it is because I looked up when I was looking up stuff for the next topic. The 85, 86 Sacramento Kings, that was their first playoff appearance since being in the new city.
Yeah,
you know,
I think that was Jerry or something. I think it was Reynolds. I might have been Reynolds because I know Bill Russell. You know what I mean? I know the whole thing with Bill Russell by itself. He just didn't have a very good squad. But it's kind of like winning with the Clippers in those times. Just didn't.
Right, absolutely.
Another one, by the way. Jimmy Rogers taking over for Casey Jones.
Ooh, good one.
And the thing is, he still got 50 wins twice, like 55 one year, 50 and next. But here's the thing, and it's not totally Jimmy Rogers' fault. He wasn't a very good strategist, but it wasn't totally his fault. Bird missed 1 year. He had 6 games in the Bone Spurs, so he had to deal with that. And then they get Jim Paxson, but then Jim Paxson didn't want to give up being leader like he was in Portland when Bird came back. So then those two had a war. So they had a divided locker room. He had to deal with that. And then they lose in the first round. They lose in the first round 2 years in a row, one without Bird, but one with him. So I'm like, it's not totally his fault, but there was some problems that he didn't handle.
Right. Well, you know, it's totally understandable. Sometimes you inherit the last guy's BS, and you can't fix it fast enough. It's like politics.
Well, you're right on that. And think about this, that how the consistent Boston was all the time. Bill Fitch brought in Casey Jones and another guy for the consistency. Bill Fitch goes, Casey Jones comes in. Casey Jones brings in Jimmy Rogers and Chris Ford. Casey Jones goes, and it's Jimmy Rogers. Then it keeps Chris Ford and another guy, and then Chris Ford comes in.
And Fitch was our guy. Fitch was our guy. Then Don Chaney, then Rudy T.
Yeah, but I'm saying that's what I talk about with teams. It's what I look for. See, because I grew up with that. Maybe it's a little different, but I want to see that kind of consistency with a franchise every year.
It's hard though.
It's hard. It may be hard now, but maybe I have that old school in me. I want to see that because guess what? Like I said about the Cardinals, they still do. It's like they interchange. You know what I'm saying? It's baseball. But guess what? When you have 32 out of 40 winning seasons in the last 40 years, like 17 division titles, it's like that. It's like that's just because you keep everybody all the time and just minor changes.
Yeah, I mean, and it takes a little luck too, because it takes those guys wanting to stick around and keep winning instead of I'm going to go over here and get my money. You know what I mean?
My dad used to say it takes good. You have to be good to be lucky. You have to be. It takes some luck in the end. Take advantage of luck to be good.
To be good, yeah, that is true. I mean, but either way you look at it, dude. And you mentioned the Cardinals just now. I mean, to be that consistent, that successful for so long,
it's insane.
Okay, in football, right? You understand how hard it is to win 10 games in the NFL. You know how hard it is to win 10 games in college ball.
Yes.
Because at the end of the day, this is pro sports. We can sit up here and talk about how good I am and how good you are, but don't forget, there's always a man across from you that's getting paid like you are to do the same job.
And they're better than we are. That's for damn sure.
Yeah.
But no, think about this though. You're right. You're correct on that. But think about it in this way. It's like you talk about this. There were people from Clemson that was wanting to get rid of Dabo. They wanted to get rid of Dabo because he was having a struggling season. His struggling season was 10 wins.
Okay, before you continue, that's just the mindset of spoiled fans because I've seen the exact same for Belichick and I've seen the exact same for Nick Saban.
I know, and it drives me
That's
nuts.
just spoiled fans.
It will drive me nuts forever. I'm sorry, it will drive me nuts. It will drive me insane forever. It's like why are you like the Chicago White Sox fans right now? You're dealing with Tony La Russa, 2,858 wins, career wins. Oh, I'm better than him. See, I wouldn't have done that. You're in the stands. Shut up.
Yeah.
He has three World Series and 2,800 wins. He has 900 wins. He's not going to make it, but he has 900 wins away from. I'm not kidding you. What was the 3,700 wins? What was this from way back?
I will know.
Manager of the old Yankees?
No. It was the A's. It was he had 3,700 wins, 40 seasons.
Oh God,
3,700 wins.
I will
3,700
know.
wins. 3,900 losses.
A's 3,700 wins.
Hold on a second. Connie Mack.
Oh, Connie Mack. Yep.
He is literally, even though he's not going to make it, he's 76 years old. He's literally 900 wins away from Connie Mack. And you're telling me you know better than him.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah,
he literally has 900 wins away from Mack, and Mack, he had 14 more seasons than Tony La Russa, and he's 900 wins away. You're telling me that's just what gets me mad about fans. So I call them emotional nitwits. You don't. I mean, this is a legend. You're going to have mistakes. This is 162 games. Tony La Russa is more than capable of like 17 wins in a row and just blowing out the rest of the division.
You're going to have mistakes. I mean, it's the reason why the 96 Bulls and why the 16 Warriors didn't go 82-0. Yeah. You know? I mean, Steve Kerr lost 9 games. You know, Phil Jackson lost 10 games. Still immaculate records, you know. People just don't understand just how hard it is to win. Ray Lewis, and I'll say this real fast, we'll go on our final topic. Ray Lewis once said, you know the single hardest thing to do in the National Football League? Win on the road.
Yep.
Because you got the practice, then you got the commute, then you got to shut out opposing fans. You got to go out there and get it done. The hardest thing to do is win on the road.
This was the craziest thing about the Bulls in the 92 and 93 years, you know, when they won it all. I am not kidding you with this. They won 13 out of 15 West Coast games on the West. Going on the West Coast trip, they won 13 out of 15 in those 2 years.
Yeah.
They won 8 in a row the year before, and then they lost 2 for the thing. But I'm like, that's telling you how ridiculous they were. They can go on the West Coast and just dominate them.
Yes, a sole East Coast team, you know, and, you know, with commuting back and forth, I want fans to remember that the next time they clamor for London to get an NFL team, because I don't know if you've actually flown across the Atlantic. I've done it a ton of times. That is a long flight just across the ocean.
And you know how many 7 a.m. games we're going to get? I mean, there are people that don't want to get up at 7 a.m. on Sunday.
Exactly. Viewership will go down.
Exactly.
That's just how time zones work.
Exactly.
You know, so
7 a.m. games. Because go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yes. Oh, no. So I was going to segue into the next topic, but no, you're absolutely correct. 7 a.m. That's the reason why they're only doing 3 or 4 London games a year. You know.
Yeah, exactly.
But, on to the next final topic, and I thoroughly enjoyed this one too. It's about as much as I did the Team USA. These are the low key. So shout out to Will for this one. Low key loaded rosters in history. Now I'm going to give.
I didn't actually. This wasn't me. That
was
Jacob. That was Jacob.
Oh,
that was
sorry,
me.
Jacob.
I came up with it.
Sorry, man. Yeah, all right. Yeah, shout out to Jacob for this one here. But now, before I give you mine, I know some people are going to say, what about the 98 Rockets? They had Hakeem, Barkley, and Clyde. I don't count them. People consider them the first ever super team. Some do.
No.
They were all 3 of them were past their prime. That doesn't count.
No.
All 3 of them were past their prime.
First super teams were Boston and LA.
Yeah.
We don't care if it's on trades. I mean, come on. Bird, Mikhail Parrish versus Magic, Worthy, and Kareem.
Kareem, yeah.
Kareem. I mean, come on. Those aren't the first super teams. I mean, those ones were made by draft and by trades, but those are the first super teams.
Yeah. But I will say this, and also I am going to, well, you know what? Here, I'm going to just do these two right here. I'm going to say the 1986 Sixers. They were third in the Eastern Conference, and they lost in the semis 4-3 to Milwaukee. They had Barkley, Dr. J. Now, mind you, some of these guys are past their prime, but they still managed to be the 3 seed and were one game away from the Eastern Conference Finals. They had Barkley, Dr. J, Mo Cheeks, Moses Malone, and a young Sedale 3.
Yeah. And Sedale 3 absolutely clobbered Danny Ainge with an absolute right hook.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God. I mean, it was so funny. I mean, he clobbers Danny Ainge. Danny Ainge is a scrappy little thing. He keeps coming at him, then he falls over.
Oh, man.
But,
yeah.
No, but Sedale 3, I met Sedale 3's trainer, like because he's from Atlanta. And I met his trainer when I was over at selling suits and everything. And that guy, he used to train like a couple different NBA players. He said Sedale 3. It was like they said that guy was never given the right type of team or system to ever be a star.
Well, here's the thing. He came in right after the Lakers dynasty ended, right after Showtime ended. He was their starting point guard.
Yep, I know.
But another team I had was the 1980s, the same team that eliminated them, the 1986 Milwaukee Bucks. They had Sidney Moncrief, Terry Cummings, Craig Hodges, and Ricky Pierce. They were the Eastern Conference #2 team. And they lost to Boston, I think it was 4-2 in the Eastern Conference Finals. You can tell me better than me, Jacob. Was it 4-2?
Yeah.
I think it was 4-2. Okay.
Yeah.
Go
ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, no. Go ahead.
Low key loaded. I'll give the 80 Celtics when Bird was 79-80 Celtics when Bird was a rookie. You get Larry Bird, Dave Cowens, Pete Maravich.
Yeah.
I mean, 2 of them retired, but Pete Maravich, you get Max, and then you get and you had a Tiny Archibald.
Tiny Nate Archibald. Yeah, that was a low-key
Oh
squad.
my God! I mean, just imagine 1 year off of Havlicek.
Yeah,
1 year off.
Just
Havlicek.
1 year removed.
1 year removed from Havlicek, so you could have Burton, Havlicek, and Maravich in the same name team.
Yeah, that is insane.
That is just insane, and that's just unfair. Even Maravich with bad knees is unfair.
Yeah, just I'm sorry, I didn't know you were going into yours. I had one more.
Yeah,
this is my #1 low-key loaded team of all time. And that's the 2002 Sacramento Kings.
Mm-hmm.
They had the following personnel: Bibby, Christie, C. Webb, Vlade Divac, Bobby Jackson, Jim Jackson, Hedo Turkoglu, Peja Stojakovic. I'm going to say something, and I'm going to piss off Laker Nation, and I really don't give a damn. I like the Lakers, but I'm just going to say it.
Well, they screwed them.
The 02 Kings were robbed out of a ring.
They were.
Yes. Look up Tim Donaghy. He legit swayed that series. This is a known fact. So if there's any basketball ring that should have an asterisk next to it, it's the 02 Lakers.
Oh yeah. I mean, no.
Sorry to whoever I piss off. That's just facts. The man admitted to swaying games and giving the Lakers that series for monetary purposes. Go ahead, Jacob.
Okay, got another one. The 93 Suns.
Ooh.
93 Suns. You have Barkley, you have Chambers, you have Thunder Dan Marley, you got Danny Ainge, you got Oliver Miller off the bench, who was who liked his defense and his buffets. But still, and his buffet. But it's like, but I mean, he was a force in the middle. He was a force in the middle, could block shots, everything like that. I mean, Kurt Rambis came off. He came off the bench. Rambis was just that low key guy everywhere. Low key on the Lakers, on the Hornets, on the Suns. He's that guy that he never has a bad time. Never has a bad team. There's always something he's doing. He's always playing defense. He's always scrappy. It's like you want to know what we can call Kurt Rambis right now? Alex Caruso of then.
Yeah, you can.
Yes.
Nice.
And it's like the Alex Caruso of then. It's like maybe he had hair and maybe he didn't have a sweatband or anything, but he had the glasses. But he was just a beast. Mm-hmm. He was just a beast, and it's like. So no, those Suns teams were beasts, and Dan Marley has never given the proper respect. That boot was tough.
Yeah. Well, who you got, man?
So I've got I've got 4 because I just added one in my head.
Uh-huh.
So the 2006 Miami Heat. Please let me know. Even though some of these guys were past their prime, you got Alonzo Mourning, Shaquille O'Neal, Gary Payton, Dwayne Wade, White Chocolate, Jason Williams, Antoine Walker, and they won the championship. Like a mix of young and old, but they still got it done. The 2011 Grizzlies, the number 8 seed that beat the Spurs in the first round, had Tony Allen, Shane Battier, Mark Gasol, Mike Conley, Zach Randolph. They were called the Grit and Grind Grizzlies.
They were. They were the predecessors to the team now.
Yes, they were.
I mean, the direct predecessors to the team now. Like that's just, before you continue, that is just the nature of, you look at the nature of the Pistons, right? And we look at the Pistons of the 80s, they was the bad boys, they was beating people up. And then you look at the 04 team that won it all and how physical they was and defensive they was. Now you look at the Grizzly squad that's right now, okay? They're grit, they're grimy, they're gangster. They want all the smoke. Same for the Grizzlies team that you just mentioned. So, Will, that was an excellent pick, man.
I appreciate it. I got 2 more. You got those Phoenix Suns teams with Sean Marion, Steve Nash, Amari Stoudemire, Rajah Bell, Leandro Barbosa.
Man, yeah.
Those teams were fun to watch.
They were. But you know the reason why they didn't win? Because guess who their head coach was? Take one guess.
D'Antoni, and they ran into the Lakers.
Yep.
Last one. The Run TMC Warriors.
Ooh.
Oh, I love it. Go ahead.
You got Hardaway, Richmond, Mullen, and they also have Manute Bol. In 1989.
That's not a count.
You didn't do
anything with him.
Yeah, exactly. In 1989, they led the season in scoring. The NBA in scoring. In 1990-91, they sold out every home game. That team, I wasn't born yet, but I've watched replays, of course, on NBA TV and YouTube. That team was fun.
And this is why
TMC Warriors.
Is there vodka and orange juice there? Hey,
no. This is straight water, dude. In there.
I was gonna say, is there vodka in there?
No. Don
Bottled screwdriver.
But you know what? It's crazy. You bring up that Run TMC team. Now I have to revisit the what if that we did some time ago. Imagine if they would have kept Penny Hardaway.
Yeah.
Oh, that would have been scary.
Run TMCP.
Yeah.
TMCP, exactly.
And see, the thing is because it's like, okay, when it comes to the 2 Hardaways, they both the 1, so you're going to keep it the 1. I would say keep Tim at the 1 and move Penny to the 2.
Yeah.
Here's another, by the way. I'm going to give you another one that's going to be very, very recent. This coming year's and last year's Minnesota Timberwolves.
Yeah, Edwards, Cat.
Yep. I mean, Edwards, and then you got Edwards, you got Karl Anthony Towns, and now you've got defense. And now you've got defense. You've got your defense. Even Gobert. I'm not a Gobert guy on the offensive side, but his defense is ridiculous.
That is true.
And they were missing on that defense with Memphis, so Gobert makes up for that. So,
there was some years I didn't have him as the best defensive player, but you're right. His defense is outstanding. He
doesn't have to be the best to make up for Minnesota. Minnesota lost to Memphis because their defense failed in the fourth quarters.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like they could use that Gobert. That's why I was pointing, you know.
Do you guys want to add an extra segment? We get 5 more minutes. We got time to kill.
Go ahead, Jacob.
Okay, I got one for you. While we were bringing it up, let's keep with the low key. I brought up Rambus earlier. That just low keyed everywhere. Just did it right for everybody. Let's bring up low key players. Just off the bench and just this everything for every team. And then
Jamal Crawford.
Yep,
Jay
Crawford.
Yeah.
Crawford.
I'll give you another Mark West. Mark West. It's like Mark West was that guy. He was just a big barrel-chested dude. Clogged up the middle. He did it for a few different teams. And so like, and this is what even if the game has changed so much, they still need. One of the things that some teams need, especially the winning teams, are that role player guy. You know, regards to what and Caruso's that role player guy now. You know what I'm saying? But you still. And it's like I was bringing up before. They were talking about the Minnesota and how much size they have now, or whatever. And I'm like, remember what I was saying on Facebook? That size doesn't matter. When everybody's spreading out the thing and going for threes, that matters if you're clogging up the lane, forcing them to shoot threes they can't hit.
I've got
back
another
in the
one.
time. It's such a different day.
I've got another one, and then I'll let Jay go. Name something. ISO Joe Johnson.
Oh yeah.
Oh nice.
Oh yeah, Joe Johnson. He's 41, still winning three on three titles.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are we doing just bench players or just like can we do any?
It can be anybody. It can be anybody. Just someone that just did their job every year.
George Hill.
Yeah.
What?
George Hill.
Yeah.
How many teams he's been on, and I mean he's a role player. And see, here's the thing. Players
Would you
know.
say Isaiah Thomas, the newer Isaiah?
He could possibly, but his hip blew up before he could really get that job.
When he had that hip injury, he was never the same.
Exactly.
When that hip injury, it was over. But I would say George Hill. And see, here's the thing, man. You know, I think every player knows their ceiling. George Hill knew his ceiling, but every team he went to, you know, he gave you what he gave you what he gave the last team and the team before. You know.
Patty Mills.
Yes. Yep.
See, here's the thing I bring up, and now you know me, guys, how many times I bring up Harden in jokes during the week, probably 40 times. You know, during a week, I'll bring up Harden. But see, the reason I bring these up for jokes is because we can name any of these current players right now that you could put as a third guy with those stud teams that he's been on, and they probably win a ring anyway. It's not because of those guys, but they did their job. Right. It's the point that I make with him. I'm not saying James Harden was just this sucky player in the NBA, averaged 3 points a game. I'm not saying that. It's the fact that you have to play hero ball when it counts at the end all the time. You're forced to do way too much. And if you have another three on that, just a third guy out there that's just doing his job. You know, it might be 10 points, 12 points. That might be just doing defense. It might be doing whatever. These teams win. Brooklyn wins with any other third guy. Especially 48 points by KD in that one to Game 7.
Last year.
Yeah, any other three out there that is just doing defense or maybe hitting doing a Ray Allen hitting 3-pointers. Anybody else, they're winning a title.
Right. I mean, so with James Harden, is it more of the fact that people hail him as this superstar, but to you, he's just another cog in the machine?
I think he's part of the TikTok generation. It's like he's an ISO scorer that holds the ball a ton, just shows how good of handles he has, shoots up threes from anywhere, hits them, but then that's great. In Game 9 of the year against the Clippers, you know, that's nice and wonderful, but where is he in the playoffs ever? And it's like, and then it's struggled. I mean, he hit 36 points a game one year and then again struggled. It's like, what do you do at some point? I mean, at some point, you're going to have some team is going to have to get him and offer him, and every team in the league have to offer him heavy incentive base if he truly wants to win it all.
I get it, you know, but you know, and shout out to Ray J. Lynn. He actually mentioned this on an episode of Sports Arena not that long ago. If you notice, any team when he was with the Rockets, anytime James Harden lost in the playoffs, it was to a team that was better than them. Those Warriors teams, they either went on to make the finals or outright win the finals. That Spurs team was better than us that year. You know, LaMarcus Aldridge gave us fits all series, and it still went 6 games. I mean,
and no, Ray J, and see, Ray J gets it mistaken with me. I'm not, like I say, and of course, you know, James Harden's going to the Hall of Fame. We're just being fair here. He did 36 points a game one year. They had 30 points. He's had 6 60-point games. We can't say the talent sucks. It's not. That's just not being fair to it. But I'm saying there are just late Game 6, Game 7 playoffs time after time after time after time where he bombs. And it's just like at some point we're bringing up, like this week I'm going to be bringing up performance anxiety, and there could be a certain thing with him But at some point, what's the difference between performance anxiety and flat out laziness?
Yeah, true.
It is true. But we are at the hour mark, so we got to end it, gentlemen. I'd like to thank everybody for watching this episode of BasketBros, and please tune in with us next week where we have more topics and another loaded show. But Jacob, let everybody know. Go ahead, Will.
Let me say something real quick. If you are on our Facebook page, feel free to message me, or it's up to these guys if they want to be messaged. Feel free to message me any topics you guys have, and I'll shoot the ideas with the guys, and maybe we'll mention your topic.
Absolutely.
And I will give you credit.
Yeah.
And if you want to be on future shows, also message me, because we love guests, and we'll probably have one again soon. We haven't had one in 2 weeks. So yeah, feel free to message me individually. Don't message on the page, and I'll talk to the guys.
Absolutely.
Cool.
Go ahead, Jacob.
Well, you'll see me Sunday nights here on the BasketBros. During the season, Monday nights with NBA Carousel with Megan Price. Got to give her all the props in the world. I mean, her and her billion shows. Tuesday night was Confidential with 9 billion% of Sagline Sports.
9 billion.
Exactly. Percent of the sports. Thursday night Pundits Pundit with Jen. Love you, Jen. Awesome. And then we can go through this. And I'm also starting up 2 different shows. And I'm going to start doing interview segments really soon on the Pundits Pundit.
Sign me up, please.
Definitely. And I will. And I'm going to be starting to do that. And by the way, let me know, Jay, you said you wanted to make it for Thursday, because we're going to see if we can get that interview with that one dude about the NBA for Africa.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And go ahead, Will.
I'm going to go real quick. Monday nights, NBA Carousel, hosted by Megan Price. Thursday night, Sip Off, hosted by Megan Price and Jahan Phillips. Saturday, I occasionally make the Gauntlet. That is hosted by Jay, Dom, JJ, and James. And then Sunday nights here, Dom, Jacob, and Jay. Jay, go ahead.
All right. Hey, you know where I'm at. Produce Confidential. I'm also on the Gauntlet and BasketBros, and occasionally on the Pundits Pundit. You'll be seeing me this Thursday on Pundits Pundit. I thank everybody for tuning in. Tune in next week. Have a great night, and free Brittany Griner.
Take care.